What if the place you chose for a romantic trip is actually the reason it doesn't feel romantic at all? You spend all that money, finally get there together, and instead of those quiet, meaningful moments you imagined, you're stuck in crowds, waiting in lines, surrounded by noise, trying to force something to feel special, but it just doesn't. And no one really talks about this because the truth is, it's not about how beautiful a place looks, it's about whether that place actually gives you the space to feel something. Because some of the most romantic destinations in the world are quietly doing the opposite. And the worst part is, most couples only realize it after they're already there. And this is exactly why so many couples end up choosing places like Venice, thinking it's going to be this dreamy, once-in-a-lifetime escape. But the moment they arrive, it feels different. You're shoulder to shoulder with crowds, stopping every few steps, paying more for everything. And instead of getting lost in each other, you're just trying to get through the chaos. The gondolas look beautiful, but the experience feels rushed, almost staged, like you're chasing a moment that never really comes. And that's where the magic starts to fade, not because the place isn't beautiful, but because it never slows down long enough for you to actually enjoy it together. But then everything changes in places like Bulgaria. The noise disappears, the pace softens. You walk through quiet streets where no one's rushing you, sit somewhere longer than you planned, talk without distractions, and for the first time, it actually feels like you're there together. Nothing feels forced, nothing feels crowded, and those simple, unplanned moments end up meaning far more than anything you tried to create before. Because the truth is, the most romantic trips aren't the ones everyone dreams about, they're the ones that give you space to feel something real. And then there's Romania, and this is where things start to feel completely different. Not just quieter, but deeper. Because it doesn't feel like a tourist place at all. It feels like somewhere you accidentally discovered together. You're walking through old towns like Brasov, with mountains in the background, narrow streets that feel untouched, cafes where no one's rushing you out, and for once, it doesn't feel like you're visiting a destination. It feels like you're living inside it, even if it's just for a few days. And that changes everything, because instead of trying to create special moments, they just happen on their own. A random walk turns into a long conversation, a simple dinner turns into something you actually remember. There's no pressure, no constant distraction pulling you away, just a kind of calm that makes everything feel more real. And maybe the biggest difference is this: you're not thinking about time or money or what's next. You're not trying to maximize the trip. You're just enjoying it together. And that's something most couples don't find in the places everyone recommends, but somehow, they find it here. And then you get to Albania, and this is where it stops feeling like a planned trip and starts feeling completely yours. Because unlike the places everyone talks about, nothing here feels controlled or crowded. You find yourself on quiet beaches along the Albanian Riviera. Water so clear it doesn't even feel real. And there's no rush, no noise, no one interrupting the moment. It's just you, the sound of the waves, and a kind of calm that instantly changes the way you experience everything. And this is where something shifts for couples in a different way. It's not just about slowing down anymore. It's about disconnecting from everything else. No schedules, no pressure to see it all. Just time that feels open and unplanned. But not every affordable place feels the same, and that's where Budapest changes everything. Because this isn't just about saving money, it's about atmosphere. The kind you can't really explain until you're in it. You're walking along the Danube at night, the Parliament building glowing across the water, reflections moving with every ripple. The city feels alive, but never overwhelming. There's no rush, no chaos, just this quiet energy around you that pulls you into the moment without effort. And that's what makes it different. It's not the silence like the other places, it's the balance. You can explore, wander, sit somewhere late into the night, and everything just flows naturally. You're not checking time, you're not thinking about plans, you're just there, together, letting the night unfold. And somehow, without trying, without forcing anything, the whole experience already feels exactly the way you imagined it would. And then there's Poland, and this is where everything slows down in a completely different way. Not in silence, not in isolation, but in comfort. You're walking through places like Krakow, with its old squares, warm lights, and quiet cafes, and nothing feels rushed, nothing feels overwhelming. It's simple, but in a way that feels grounding. Mornings don't start with plans, they start slowly. You sit somewhere longer than you expected, watch the city wake up, talk without distractions, and somehow, those small, ordinary moments start to matter more than anything else on the trip. And this is what most couples get wrong. They think romance has to be dramatic, exciting, constantly moving, but here, it feels effortless. You're not chasing moments anymore, you're just living them as they happen. No pressure, no expectations, just time that feels real. And in the end, that's what actually stays with you, not the places you tried to make special, but the ones that made you feel something without even trying. And when you really step back and think about it, you start to realize something most couples don't see until it's too late.
It was never really about the destination.
Because the places that look the most romantic are often the ones that leave you feeling the most disconnected. Not because they aren't beautiful, but because they never give you the space to just be there together. And that's the difference. The places we talked about don't try to impress you. They don't rush you. They don't overwhelm you. They simply give you time. Time to slow down, to talk, to notice each other again. Because in the end, romance isn't something you plan. It's something that happens when nothing is getting in the way. So maybe the question was never, where's the most romantic place? Maybe the real question is, where will we actually feel something real? Because once you start choosing places like that, the trip doesn't feel empty anymore. It finally feels like it was meant for both of you.